Ever wondered why sometimes your mood sinks below the ground? One of the reasons could be your TV. You might wonder why. The TV and the news is nowadays packed with negative news, negative events, a sad story, horrible tragedy, violence, hatred all over the world. And that really fills up with negative emotions. We need to think we already have responsibilities in our lives. We have families, we have careers, and lots to think about. So adding extra pressure on top of that is too much. If you think back in the past, it wasn't so common. Access to news wasn't so easy like it is today, and only few people could access it. That meant that you only focused on your life without really thinking about what was going on in the rest of the world. But today, there is the need to know and the need to know now. Social media, TV is packed with billions of news about what's happening around us in the world. And the truth is, all this is depriving us from our power. If you want to raise your vibration, number one thing I would suggest you to do is stop watching the news today. Of course, there might be some circumstances where keeping updated and watching the news is really important, but there are some where it's not absolutely necessary. You can carry on your life without knowing the disasters that are happening in the world, especially at night. It's something devastating that you could do to the quality of your sleep and your mental health to watch TV, to watch any negative news, even on your phone before going to bed. You don't want to get those disasters with you in your sleep. So if you're really looking to raise your vibration, one thing that you should start doing today, and it's really easy, is stop watching the news. So as we know, the source of information nowadays doesn't come just from the TV, but it's everywhere around us. Newspapers, our phones. Sometimes we even receive notifications on our phone with the news of the day. So one thing you want to do is stop these notifications and sort of customize your social media so that you don't access any negative information. You might not think it's that relevant, but for those of us who are really sensitive, reading a bad piece of news could affect your mood and your energy for days to come. I had an occasion in the past where without really wanting it, I've seen a horrible picture on the first page of a newspaper about the war in Syria, and the image was devastating, and it kept me sick for about 3 days. I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I felt like crying every time I thought about it. Of course, there are things that you want to keep up with, and that's absolutely fine. You can do your own research, go online, search the information you need, and let go and stop it there. Because if we start reading and listening everything that we don't need to know, all we're doing is just putting a heavy burden on our shoulders, and that's not going to take us anywhere. Anyway, there's nothing we can do. Most of situation, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. So we have other responsibilities closer to our inner circle we have to deal with, and let's focus on those instead. So I'll give you a challenge: try not to watch any negative news on TV for at least a week and see how you feel. So of course, TV is one main source of negative energy, but then we have social media. Sad stories that we read on sad stories. Every time I notice there's something that could upset me, I try not to read it. What is the point? Why am I going to upset myself to that level? Anyway, most of the times it will be something I can't do nothing about. That doesn't mean that we don't have to get involved in social matters that we believe in. For instance, I'm the first one who tries to fight food waste, or fight for the environment, or helping others through charity. So all those channels, all those things that we need to work on, of course, it's absolutely fine to research and read about it. But all the rest, I remember when I used to live in Italy, and it was devastating to having to eat your food while listening the worst tragedy in the world. Dying people, suffering, violence, hate. Why do you have to eat? I mean, even eating while listening this kind of story is going to affect the way your food will act within your body, the energy it will bring to you. So instead, turn the TV off and play some relaxing music. I would suggest to build your own bubble, your safe bubble, where you're safe, where you're peaceful, where you're happy. Apart from negative energies coming from the news and social media, another channel of negative energy might come from people who complain a lot. When I notice people start complaining a lot, I move towards another direction. Or if I can't, I build my walls so that doesn't affect my energy. Because let's face it, complaining is highly toxic. So the vibe changes immediately when people are complaining, and we don't want to be exposed to that sort of vibe. One other important element is when people are about to share sad stories, because unfortunately there is a tendency in many people to be passionate. You know, unfortunately there is a tendency in people to share sad, bad stories. As soon as I realize somebody's about to tell me something I don't want to hear because it's too sad, too violent, or too cruel, I'll say, please, I don't want to know it, thank you. So these three things seems very hard, but they're actually very easy to implement, and they will totally change the way you feel. You will notice your mood shift, the way you feel changes, and you will start to worry more about your life rather than what is going on outside you. What can we do about something that's happening on the other side of the world? And watching constantly the news about that specific event is just keeping us down and sad and depressed. How is that going to help? And we know what the topic is. The mainstream topic nowadays, if you turn the TV on right now, is COVID, right? I don't even like to say that word. It sounds like a bad word to me. But even overwatching news about it will automatically make you feel worse. I remember during the pandemic, during the worst time of the pandemic, especially the lockdown, I refused myself to be constantly connected with the news and knowing the number of deaths and all these numbers that just make you feel even more anxious. And I would just go online and read the information I was looking for and research just that specific part rather than being bombarded by this all craze about the COVID. And I must say, especially in the country where I'm from, in Italy, COVID has been used to scare people to death, and still now people are absolutely in fear and so manipulated to the point they fear each other. And even something that I noticed when I went, apart from the fact that the news are talking 24 hours about the same topic, they don't even talk about other topics anymore, but just that constantly 24 hours. And even the tone of the journalist is more serious, more even, you know, it's transmitting even more anxiety to people. So now I understand why everyone there is even more fearful compared to the UK, for instance. So I would suggest, this is really important, if you want to raise your vibration, do that. Stop watching the news, or at least reduce it. So if you're looking to raise your vibration, stop watching the news today. It's something easy to do. We don't need it. It's not something that we require for our survival. You will notice that your life will improve, that you're happier, that you can focus better to your mental health, and that your mood will be a lot better. So if you are with me in this, do it today. It's easy. I do it, you can do it. Stop watching the news. Stop. Create walls when you're about to read sad stories, things that really are going to influence the way you feel. Just press pause, go away, change topic, watch something else, but don't do that to yourself, especially before bedtime. Bedtime is a very important part of the day, as well as the time we wake up in the morning. I would also suggest that the last hour before you go into bed, you switch off all electronic devices. This is called the Amish hour. And no tablets, no phones, no TV, just you and yourself and your thoughts. So just doing this, and as I mentioned previously, not to rush for your phone in the morning as soon as you wake up, will create a massive change into your life in a positive way. You will feel better, you'll feel happier, you feel more motivated to pursue and focus on your goals. So you will focus more on your lives rather than focusing on the tragedies that happen around the world. So try this with me and we can change the world one life at a time. Thank you.